Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another real tale with you. This story is from January 29th, 2024. It is about a family living in Haridwar, an ancient city and important Hindu pilgrimage site in North India's Uttarakhand state. The family arrives in Dehradun and files a missing person report at a police station. They tell the police that their 24-year-old daughter Shahnoor has gone missing. She had been living in Dehradun for 2 years and was working at a parlor. She used to talk to her family every 2 or 3 days, so her family knew that she was doing well and wasn't facing any problems. However, since December 26th, Shahnoor had not spoken to her family, nor was she answering their calls. Her family began to worry, but then they thought she might have gone out with her friends, which is why she couldn't call, as it had happened many times before when she went out with her friends and didn't call home. But a lot of time passed, and still, there was no call. Her family grew very worried, so they went to Dehradun. They went to the places where Shahnoor used to stay. People told them that they had last seen Shahnoor on December 26th when she was going to work, and they hadn't seen her since. Hearing this, her family became even more concerned. They searched for her everywhere she used to go and at her friends' houses, but she was nowhere to be found. Finally, they went to the police and filed a missing person report. Initially, the police didn't pay much attention to the case because Shahnoor's past record indicated that she often went somewhere without informing her family and returned after a few days. However, Shahnoor's family was very worried and repeatedly visited the police station, which made the police suspect that something was wrong. So they started investigating the case. First, they went to the beauty parlor where Shahnoor worked. Then they went to the area where she lived, Sanskriti Vihar. There, they found out that she had been living in 2 houses, one where she initially stayed and another where she had recently moved. People mentioned that a friend of hers had visited her one day. They had a conversation, and after that, Shahnoor changed her house and started living with this friend in a different house. When the police went to her house, they found out that Shahnoor lived with a boy. When the police officers checked the house agreement, it was on Shahnoor's name. When police asked about the boy from her family, then they said that she had never told them about any boy, but they were sure their daughter wouldn't do something like this. However, the police didn't believe them and continued investigating the case. The police discovered that Shahnoor was living with a boy named Rashid, who was from Muzaffarnagar. The police then went to Rashid's house, but when they arrived, they found out that Rashid wasn't there. Rashid was neither at the house where he lived with Shahnoor, nor at his own house. The police found it strange how he could suddenly disappear. When the police conducted more tests, they learned that Rashid had been missing since Shahnoor went missing. People said that they last saw Shahnoor on December 26th, and a few days after that, they stopped seeing Rashid as well. The police were considering 2 possibilities. First, they thought that perhaps Rashid and Shahnoor had gotten married and were hiding from their families somewhere. On the other hand, they were puzzled, thinking if they had eloped, why were they living together in one house? And if they were living together in one house, why would they run away? Now, the police had only one task: to find Rashid and Shahnoor. They tried very hard to search of both of them, but they found nothing. The police decided to search for one of them, so they decided to look for Rashid. They spread their informants team all around and even placed some in the area where Shahnoor and Rashid used to live together, so that if they came home or to the area, then police investigate them. However, despite all efforts, the police could not find any information about either Shahnoor or Rashid. The police even went to different areas of Dehradun, met some friends of Shahnoor and Rashid, but they had no information about them. Now the month of March had arrived. One day, an informant told the police that a person resembling Rashid was seen in the colony. His appearance and attire did seem like Rashid's. The police wondered what Rashid would be doing there after such a long time. They quickly went to the spot and apprehended the man the informant had mentioned. When they caught him, the man, scared, said that his name was Rashid. The police then took him to the station and asked where he had been all these days and what he knew about Shahnoor. Rashid said he had no idea where Shahnoor was or anything about her. The police then asked Rashid where he had been all this time. Rashid explained that he had gone to Panipat for some matters. He had returned home in Muzaffarnagar, gathered his belongings, and left for Panipat. He said if they didn't believe him, they could ask his family. He had been staying with his sister in Panipat and working there. When the police questioned his family, they confirmed that Rashid had indeed gone to Panipat for work and was staying with his sister. The police found this strange because if Rashid had gone somewhere, then where was Shahnoor? Why did no one know anything? But the police were getting suspicious of Rashid. When they questioned Rashid strictly, he confessed everything. Rashid then told the police officers, "Let's go, I'll take you to Shahnoor." The police took Rashid and started heading from Dehradun towards Saharanpur. Once they left Dehradun, they reached an area with forests and ravines. Rashid then instructed the police to take the vehicle down a dirt road that led into the forest. The police drove the vehicle as Rashid directed. Rashid then said, "Now we'll have to get out of the vehicle and walk." The police followed his instructions and started walking as Rashid led the way. The police wondered where Shahnoor could be staying in such a dense forest area. With no houses or hotels around, they continued walking until Rashid stopped at a spot, and the police stopped with him. Rashid pointed towards some bushes and said, "There's a bag there. Go and open it. You'll find Shahnoor inside." Then the police did exactly as Rashid told them. They searched near the bushes and found a very large bag. When the police saw the bag, they were convinced something was seriously wrong. When they opened the bag, they found a decomposed corpse inside. The police then took the bag and the body back to Dehradun. Upon returning, they sent the body for a post-mortem and showed the items found with the body to Shahnoor's family. The family identified the items as belonging to their daughter, and the police informed them that her body was found in the forest. Since it was a murder case, the police decided to conduct a DNA test on the body because it was so decomposed that it was difficult to identify if it was indeed Shahnoor. The police wondered if Rashid lived with Shahnoor and loved her, and Shahnoor loved him. What could have happened for Rashid to kill Shahnoor? The police then started questioning Rashid about why he killed Shahnoor and what had happened to make him take such a drastic step. Then Rashid starts telling the whole story. He says that this happened in 2018. He had dialed a number but dialed it incorrectly, and a girl picked up the phone. That girl was Shahnoor. Rashid told her that he had dialed the wrong number by mistake, and Shahnoor told him it was okay. They had a brief conversation and then hung up. Rashid really liked Shahnoor's voice and wanted to talk to her again, so he called her back. Shahnoor answered the phone again, and Rashid said, "This time I didn't dial by mistake. I called because I want to talk to you." Hearing this, Shahnoor laughed, and they started talking regularly, eventually becoming good friends. Rashid was from Muzaffarnagar, and Shahnoor was from Haridwar. However, due to her job, Shahnoor had to move to Dehradun, which wasn't very far from Muzaffarnagar. Initially, they continued to talk on the phone, but when Shahnoor moved to Dehradun, they met in person. They spent time together, but Rashid had to return to Muzaffarnagar. He missed Shahnoor and wanted to be with her all the time. Shahnoor told him to come to Dehradun, so Rashid went there and suggested that they live together. Shahnoor then moved into a new house, and they started living together. In the beginning, there was a lot of love between them, but gradually Rashid started noticing that Shahnoor's work timings were not right at all. She would come home at 2 a.m. several times and sometimes wouldn't come home at all. At first, Rashid didn't question her, but as his love for her began to fade, he started talking to Shahnoor about it. Shahnoor didn't pay much attention and told Rashid that there was a lot of work, which is why she was late coming home. Days passed like this, and whenever Shahnoor came home late, Rashid would ask her and insist that she quit her job. This led to fights and arguments between them. Their fights became frequent, with Rashid asking why she was so late and Shahnoor repeating that she had a lot of work, causing her to be late. Then came December 26, 2023, the day when people last saw Shahnoor. Shahnoor came home at 2:30 in the night, and when she came home, Rashid asked her why she had to work at a beauty parlor at night. He was starting to doubt that the beauty parlors in cities were open till 10 or 11 or at night, but she always came home after 2 a.m. Rashid started to think that she might be doing something else. Maybe she had a boyfriend and she was betraying him. When Rashid started talking too much, the Shahnoor came in anger and slapped him, telling him to mind his own business and not interfere in their work and not to say anything about their work. This made Rashid very angry, so he grabbed Shahnoor's throat in anger, and he didn't let go until she died. When she died, Rashid realized what he had done. He had killed Shahnoor in anger. He then stayed at home with Shahnoor's body that night. In the morning, he takes Shahnoor's ATM card and rides on Shahnoor's scooter to a mall. First, he goes there and withdraws some money. Then he goes inside and buys a bag, an envelope, and a rope. He comes back home with the items, and upon returning home, ties Shahnoor's hands and feet and puts her in the bag. He thinks about where to throw this bag. At first, he thought of throwing it in the mountains of Missouri, but then he thought that if he went at night, the police stationed at various places would catch him. Then he thinks that if I take this bag in the morning, the police never noticed him because many people roam around in the morning who carry such bags here and there, so the police won't even suspect that. But in night, very few people come and go at night, because of which the police check every person. So he leaves on the scooter in the morning of December 27th, and when he was going outside Dehradun, he was going on the road to Saharanpur, and there in a jungle among the bushes, he throws the bag. Then he comes back to his home in Muzaffarnagar. Now he thinks that if the police find out about this, they will start searching for him. So he leaves Muzaffarnagar and goes to Delhi, where he stays. Then he goes to his sister's place in Panipat. He stays there with his sister and starts working there. 3 months have passed, and Rashid began to feel that if anyone found out that someone had dumped a corpse in the jungle near the bushes, the news would have been all over the news channels by now. But nothing like that happened. 3 months have passed, and now Rashid feels that no one even knows about it. Then he thinks he will go back home again, and then he goes back to Muzaffarnagar, where he and Shahnoor were living. Some of his belongings were still there. He goes inside to get his stuff, and just then, the police informer notices him, and he is caught. So, this was today's story. Thank you for joining us on this journey today. We hope you enjoyed the content and found it valuable.